6.4, we're looking at common denominators. And what a common denominator is they are fractions that have the same denominator or bottom. And we use multiples to make fractions have common denominators. The reason why finding common denominators is important is because when we start comparing fractions and they have those different bottoms, we can find a multiple that they both have, make them share the same amount of pieces, then it can help us determine which fraction is bigger. They become equivalent fractions for us, and it helps us to compare them. So let's look at an example. Let's look at 1/2 and 1/3. So I have these two fractions. I want to give them a common denominator. So I'm thinking, what are my multiples of 2 and 3? So remember, multiples are skip counting. I know my multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I'll just write a few. I may need to write more. Sometimes you'll get in the first 2 or 3. And my multiples of 3 are 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I want to look at these and see, do I have any multiples in common? The first one, we're going to go with the first one we see so that our fractions don't get too large. I see that both of them have 6. Now, eventually, if I kept going, I would find other ones that they have in common, but I want to go with that first one to make it easier for ourselves. So I need to make both of these fractions have a denominator of 6. So we're going to make them each have an equivalent fraction. To make an equivalent fraction, whatever I multiply on bottom, I multiply on top. So 2 times what gets me 6? I know that 2 times 3 gets me 6. So 1 times 3 will get me 3 6. Down here, 3 times what gets me 6? I know 2 does. So I'm going to multiply the same thing on top. So now my fractions, instead of 1/2 and 1/3, I can look at this and I have 3 6 and 2 6. So you can see now I have that common denominator, super easy to compare them. Let's look at another example. Let's do 4/5 and 7/10. Okay, so I need to find a denominator or a multiple that they share that I can make have common denominators. My multiples of 5, so I'm going to skip count, are 5, 10, 15, 20. My multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, and 40. So first one I see that they have in common is 10. Sometimes, like this example, you'll only have to change one of them. It really just depends on what those denominators are. So here, they share 10. I don't need to do anything to this. It will stay in tenths. I do need to change 4/5 though, so it has a bottom of tenths. So 4/5, I need to make it something tenths. So 5 times what gets me 10? I know 2 does. So this becomes 8/10 and 7/10. Again, really easy to compare once we start talking about comparing. So the important things, we're going to find those common multiples to help us. And sometimes you'll have to multiply both of those fractions to get your common denominator. Sometimes you'll only have to just do one.